What if I told you that the expensive UV flashlight you bought to supercharge your jigs is actually the reason you're going home empty-handed? It sounds crazy, right? We've all been taught that a brighter lure is a better lure. But today, we're going to challenge that idea head-on. We're going to explore how that blindingly bright glow might be turning your carefully presented lure from an irresistible meal into a terrifying threat. Stick with me, because what you're about to learn could completely change your approach to low-light fishing. It all comes down to a simple question. Are you presenting food, or are you presenting a monster? Before we dive in, let me know in the comments. Do you believe brighter is always better when it comes to glow lures? Just simple yes or no. For years, the logic has seemed unbreakable. Fish are down deep or it's dark out. To make them see your lure, you need to make it glow. And to make it glow brighter and longer, you blast it with a powerful UV light. It's become a ritual on the ice or on the boat at night. You pull your line up, you grab the flashlight, and you give that jig a 10-second charge until it's blazing. It's a pro tip that's been passed down for a generation. It's so ingrained in our process that it's become muscle memory. We all do it. We see everyone else doing it, and we never really stop to question the basic premise. We focus so much on the how to make it brighter, that we forgot to ask the most important question of all, why? And more importantly, what does that intense artificial light actually communicate to a fish in its natural environment? Let's start with the foundation of this whole habit, the common wisdom we all follow. You're out ice fishing for walleye, it's low light, and you need to get their attention. The logical thought process is simple. Visibility is key. If they can't see it, they can't eat it. So a lure that glows like a torch has to be better than one with a faint shimmer, right? It's the same reason we use bright chartreuse or orange on a cloudy day. We want our bait to stand out, to be the one thing a fish notices in the vastness of the water. This idea is so powerful and makes so much sense on the surface that it's become an unwritten rule of fishing. But as we all know, sometimes the rules we think are helping us are actually the very things holding us back from success. This is one of them. Now let's bring this out of the water and into a situation we can all understand. Imagine you're in a completely dark room. If someone across the room lights a single, soft candle, you're intrigued. Your eyes are drawn to it. You want to see what it is. You might even walk towards it. It's gentle, it's curious. Now, imagine instead of a candle, that person suddenly shines the high beams of a truck directly in your face. What do? You don't walk towards it. You flinch, you turn away, you throw your hands up to shield your eyes. It's aggressive, it's jarring, it's a threat. This is the fundamental difference we're talking about. We think we're lighting a candle for the fish, but with our powerful UV lights, we are often blasting them with high beams, and their reaction is exactly the same as yours would be. To understand why this happens, we need a very basic lesson in fish biology. You don't need a science degree for this. Just remember one thing. The eyes of predator fish like walleye, crappie, and lake trout are masterpieces of low-light engineering. They have a layer in their eyes called the tapetum lucidum. It's the same thing that makes a cat's eyes glow in the dark. It acts like a mirror, bouncing light back through the retina a second time. This essentially gives them night vision. Their eyes are built to gather and amplify the tiniest amounts of ambient light. They are incredibly sensitive. So, when we introduce a lure that's glowing with the intensity of a small sun, it's not just visible, it's an overwhelming, painful, and unnatural explosion of light to their highly tuned senses. So let's get inside the mind of that ambush predator for a second. Think like a big walleye lurking near the bottom. Your entire existence is based on stealth and surprise. You use the darkness as your camouflage. You wait for the subtle flicker of a minnow's tail or the faint silhouette of a perch against the dim light from above. Your world is one of shadows and subtlety. Everything you hunt is trying to blend in, not stand out. A predator's brain is hardwired to recognize things that are out of place. A sudden, blazing light in your hunting ground isn't a signal for dinner. It's an alarm bell. It signals that something is wrong, something is unnatural, and it's potentially very dangerous. It triggers a flight response, not a feeding response. It's the equivalent of a deer seeing a hunter's flashlight in the woods. Now think about what these fish are actually eating. What does a natural meal look like in the dark? A small shiner or an emerald minnow doesn't have built-in LED lights. A freshwater shrimp or a mayfly larva certainly doesn't glow like a firefly. Their survival depends on being inconspicuous. The only light they might give off is a faint, silvery flash as their scales catch a stray bit of moonlight filtering through the water. It's a subtle, natural reflection. Our goal as anglers is to match the hatch, to imitate natural forage. So why, when it comes to glow jigs, do we throw that rulebook out the window and present something that looks absolutely nothing like what the fish is programmed to eat? A supercharged jig isn't imitating a minnow, it's imitating a UFO. It's an alien in their world. This brings us to a crucial concept, bioluminescency. This is where a lot of anglers get the idea that a glowing lure is natural. And it's true. Many creatures in the ocean, and even some in freshwater, use bioluminescence. They create their own light. This is the key clue that unravels the whole brighter is better myth. We see that glowing creatures exist in nature, and we assume that our glowing jig is therefore a natural presentation. But we're missing the most important part of the puzzle. We're not asking how and why these creatures glow. The answer to that question is where the truth lies, and it's the exact opposite of what most of us have been led to believe about attraction. Nature has a very specific set of rules for using light. Let's look at the real purpose of bioluminescence in the wild. While it's sometimes used to attract a mate or lure in much smaller, stupider prey, one of its primary functions is defense. It's a warning sign. Think of a firefly. It flashes to say, "Don't eat me, I taste terrible." Many species of squid and shrimp will release a cloud of glowing liquid, like a flashbang grenade, to startle and blind a predator so they can escape. The light is not an invitation. It's a desperate scream for help. It's designed to be jarring and alarming. It draws attention, yes, but it's the kind of attention that says, "Stay away." So when we make our jig glow with maximum intensity, we might not be imitating a meal. We might be imitating a creature that is in full-blown panic mode, screaming for its life. A perfect real-world example is the lanternfish, or a type of shrimp in the deep ocean. When it's attacked by a predator, it can flash brightly. This has a twofold effect. First, it temporarily blinds the attacker, giving the shrimp a chance to get away. Second, and this is the really clever part, that bright flash can attract an even bigger predator. It's called the burglar alarm hypothesis. The shrimp's flash might draw in a bigger fish that will go after its original attacker. The light is a signal of distress and chaos. It's the last thing a wary walleye or a cautious lake trout wants to get involved with. They are looking for an easy, unsuspecting meal, not a dramatic, high-risk encounter that could attract unwanted attention from something bigger and meaner than them. So, let's put it all together. From a fish's perspective, a sudden, intense burst of light in a dark, quiet environment is universally a sign of danger. It's unnatural, it's alarming. It triggers a primal, hardwired instinct to flee. A fish's brain doesn't have time to analyze the situation and think, "Oh, that's an oddly bright-looking minnow. I should probably eat it." Its brain screams, "Danger! Unknown! Get out of here!" It's a survival instinct that has been perfected over millions of years, and here we are, with our fancy technology, triggering that exact instinct over and over again, and then wondering why the fish on our sonar screen won't commit. We are literally scaring them away with the very tool we think is attracting them. The logic is completely backwards. And we have to talk about the power of the tools we're using. The UV flashlights sold in tackle shops today are not gentle chargers. They are incredibly powerful. They are designed to excite the phosphors in the paint of the lure as quickly and intensely as possible. This creates a level of brightness that is far beyond any subtle, natural glow. Think of the difference between the gentle glow of a watch face in the dark versus the beam of a tactical flashlight. Both are light, but their intensity and purpose are worlds apart. The watch face is meant to be seen. The tactical flashlight is meant to dominate the darkness. Our UV lights turn our jigs into the latter. They create an aggressive, offensive flare, not a passive, attractive shimmer. The tool itself encourages us to make this mistake. But don't just take my word for it. The best way to understand this is to conduct an experiment yourself on your next trip. This is simple. Rig up 2 rods with the exact same glow jig. On rod number 1, do what you've always done. Blast it with your UV light for a good 10 to 15 seconds until it's a glowing orb. On rod number 2, do something different. Either cover most of your flashlight lens with your finger, or just give the jig a quick 1-second flash from a foot away, just enough to give it a faint, subtle glow. Fish them side by side, either in 2 different holes on the ice or taking turns casting. I am willing to bet that you will be absolutely shocked by the results. The rod with the subtle, undercharged jig will not only get more bites, but the bites will likely be more committed and aggressive. So what does the correctly charged jig look like? What is the meal glow we should be aiming for? It's not about being the brightest object in the water. It's about being the most interesting and natural-looking object. The goal is a faint, ethereal glow. It should be just bright enough for a fish to notice it from a short distance. It should look like a living thing, not a piece of hardware. When you look at it in the dark, you shouldn't have to squint. It should be a soft, pulsing light that piques curiosity rather than sounding an alarm. It suggests vulnerability, not aggression. It whispers easy meal instead of shouting dangerous threat. This is the level of finesse that separates good anglers from great anglers. It's a shift in mindset from brute force to subtle persuasion. Achieving this subtle glow is actually very easy. It just requires breaking an old habit. First, stop holding the UV light directly against the lure. Instead, hold it a foot or even 2 feet away. Second, shorten the duration. Don't count to 10. Just give it a quick flash. Literally, half a second to 1 second is often all you need. Another great trick is to use a much weaker light source. An old, weak keychain LED light can be a perfect tool for this. Or you can simply cup the jig in your hands and just expose a small part of it to the UV light, like the tail or the head, leaving the rest of the body dark. This creates a subtle accent, a trigger point, rather than turning the whole thing into a glowing fire truck. The key is to experiment and find the lowest possible charge that still gets you bites. Of course, we have to talk about water clarity because that does play a role. Is there ever a time when a brighter glow is better? Possibly. In very stained or muddy water, you do need a bit more output to penetrate the murk and get noticed. But even then, there is a tipping point. You might need a 3-second charge instead of a 1-second charge, but you probably still don't need a 15-second blast. In murky water, fish also rely more on their lateral line and hearing, so the visual stimulus is just one part of the equation. The key is to start subtle and only increase the brightness if you are absolutely sure the fish aren't seeing your lure. Don't start at 100% brightness and assume it's the right move. Start at 10% and work your way up. Now let's flip that and talk about clear water. This is where the mistake of overcharging your jig is most devastating and costly. In clear water, a fish can see a very long way. Their vision is their primary hunting tool, and in that clear environment, anything that looks unnatural stands out like a sore thumb. A blazing, supercharged jig in super clear water is the ultimate red flag. It's the equivalent of a neon sign in the middle of a pristine forest. Every wary, pressured fish in the area will see it, identify it as fake and dangerous, and actively avoid it. And this is often why you can mark tons of fish on your electronics in clear water, but you can't get a single one to bite. You're not just failing to attract them, you are actively repelling them from your area. Let's get specific and talk about walleye. These fish are the kings of low-light feeding. Their giant marble-like eyes are biological marvels designed specifically for hunting in near-total darkness. They are notoriously light-shy. Anglers know that the best walleye bite is often at dusk, at dawn, or at night. They use shadows and darkness to their advantage. So, what do you think their reaction is when a lure that glows like a camera flash is dropped right in front of their highly sensitive face? It's pure annoyance and alarm. For walleye, the subtle approach is not just a good idea, it is the only idea that consistently works. You want just enough glow to look like the faint glint of a dying baitfish, not the landing lights of an airplane. A soft, pulsing green or orange is far better than a brilliant, solid white. Now what about a different species like crappie? Crappie can be incredibly curious, and sometimes a bit of flash or color can draw them in, but they are also a primary forage fish for many larger predators, which means they are by nature very spooky. They survive by being cautious. While they might come in to investigate a glowing object, an overly aggressive glow can easily push them over the edge from curious to terrified. The key with crappie is to imitate the small plankton and microorganisms they often feed on. These things don't glow brightly. A very soft, subtle glow on a tiny jig is the perfect imitation. It suggests an easy, safe meal. A blazing jig suggests something is wrong, and a crappie's instinct will be to retreat to the safety of the school rather than risk an encounter with the unknown. Another advanced tactic is to think about where on the lure you apply the glow. It doesn't have to be an all-or-nothing approach. Instead of lighting up the entire jig, try charging just a specific part of it. For example, on a spoon, maybe you only charge the small, colored plastic attractor on the treble hook. On a jig, maybe you only charge the head, leaving the plastic body dark. This creates a natural-looking focal point. It acts as a target for the fish. A fish sees a mostly dark silhouette with one tiny, interesting spot of light, and it knows exactly where to strike. This is much more effective than presenting a uniformly bright, unnatural blob. It's a subtle trick, but it can make a massive difference in your hookup ratio because the fish are striking more accurately. Now, I know this can be a hard habit to break. For years, we've been conditioned by marketing and word of mouth to believe that our UV flashlight is our best friend. It feels wrong to intentionally undercharge a lure. It feels like you're not doing everything you can to get a bite. There's a psychological barrier to overcome. You have to consciously fight that urge to blast the lure with light before every drop. You have to trust that less is more. You have to have faith in the fish's ability to see and react to subtlety. It takes discipline, but once you see the results for yourself, once you start getting bites when everyone else around you is struggling, that new habit will be locked in for good. I'll never forget the first time this really clicked for me. I was on a tough, late ice walleye bite. Everyone was marking fish, but nobody was catching. I was doing the same thing as everyone else, blasting my jig until it was glowing white hot. For 2 hours, nothing. Out of frustration, I rebaited and dropped my jig down without even thinking to recharge it. It had just a tiny, leftover bit of faint glow. Not even 30 seconds later, my rod doubled over with the biggest walleye of the night. It was a true light bulb moment, no pun intended. The fish weren't ignoring my lure, they were avoiding it. The moment I presented something that looked subtle, natural, and non-threatening, they pounced. That one fish taught me more than 100 pro tips ever could. So, to wrap it all up, the big takeaway is this. Your UV light is an excellent tool, but it's a tool of finesse, not brute force. We've been using a sledgehammer when we needed a scalpel. The truly game-changing aha moment is realizing that in the natural underwater world, a sudden, bright light is a universal sign for danger, not dinner. For years, many of us have been unintentionally screaming a warning at the very fish we're trying to catch. The biggest twist here is that the piece of gear marketed to us as the ultimate fish attractor might just be the single biggest reason they're staying away. This changes everything. It means you'll start thinking about the quality and quantity of light, not just its brightness. It's a shift from just being seen to being seen as the right thing. Emil, thank you so much for watching. If this video challenged what you thought you knew, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And I really, really want to know, after hearing all this, will you change how you charge your glow jigs on your next trip out? Let me know your honest answer in the comments below. Let's talk about it.